What is up, everyone? Welcome to round 5 of the Portland Monthly Premodern Paper Magic Afternoon September 2024 tournament. This is the last round before the cut to top 4, so let's see who's playing. First up, it's me. I'm playing a brew of not really my own making. This is the Guilty Oath green-black pit rack deck that Premodern Luminary, and I actually never said his last name out loud, so I apologize if I get it wrong, Phil Nguyen created for what was going to be a LobsterCon debut, but unfortunately couldn't make it. So I saw this list. You guys know I love playing black, especially pit rack decks, so I had to give it a try. This is a pretty basic pit rack deck except for Guilt Feeder, which is a 5-drop that can't be blocked except by artifact creatures or black creatures, and when it attacks, if it is not blocked, your opponent loses 1 life for each card in his or her graveyard. The important thing is this is a 0 attack power creature, so it actually slides under Ensnaring Bridge, which is huge. The other part of this deck is Oath of Druids, which, yes, I know is another Oath of Druids deck, but this is using it in a very fun way, and we are actually running 2 Gaia's Blessings to recycle our cards because we don't really want our cards in the graveyard. It's more just getting your opponent's cards in the graveyard through discard with discard effects. In addition, the sideboard and the main deck provide us with more green staples in naturalizes and treetop villages, just having answers to problems that black usually can't deal with, which is mostly just enchantments. Call the Herd is also an interesting include in this deck. I'm not sure it's exactly what Pit Rack wants to be doing, but it was in the original list, and I only made some slight tweaks, mostly just to the removal spread when I built out this list. Anyways, enough about this deck. Let's see who I'm playing against. Wouldn't you know it, it's going to be a discard mirror. This was totally unplanned, but Saul is playing mono black control. Now, this isn't quite pit rack, this isn't quite mono black aggro. It's his own little hybrid with lots of hippies and unmasks and unburdens and ensnaring bridges and all kinds of fun stuff. As I mentioned, this is a bit of his own homebrew, so there are lots of one-ofs like Ravenous Rats, a one-of Curse Scroll. Cabal Interrogator is pretty interesting and a way to recur discard. He is running the Polluted Deltas of Bloodstained Mires to help fuel Cabal Pits. I believe that's still the only thing that cares about Threshold in the list. He also does have Skull Fracture, which is a recursive way to discard, which is kind of cool. And yeah, not much to say about it. It's classic black and I love it. So without further ado, let's get into the games. And here we go. Saul is on the right, I am on the left. And it looks like we're gonna get a little roll to see who goes first. One thing I didn't mention in the deck text is that this is actually deciding who makes top 4. Or at least I think it is. I am a little foggy on the details. I'm sure it'll come up in next round. Of course, I, having played this, know the outcome, but I will not spoil it for any of you guys. And see, I'm not sure who called odd or even, but both players deciding what they want to keep. It looks like Saul has a Dark Ritual start into potentially a Cabal Interrogator, which could be good, and he will be on the play, so we're going to Polluted Delta here, fetch.
Yeah, different side for the guys today. You can put it wherever is comfortable for you.
And this will be an interesting matchup just because his mono black list is kind of what my deck is doing, just with one more color, which could potentially be a weakness, especially since green black is not the strongest color pair. As much as I love the rock, not having a dedicated fetch line for it is definitely a problem. All right, cool. We're gonna move those dice, make it a little easier. And are we gonna get an unmask here? Yes, actually. Well, or is he pitching the ritual to unmask? That doesn't. No, okay. We are gonna ritual here. Makes sense. Play out the Cabal Interrogator. And I think you can hit the rack too. Yep, perfect. That's a pretty good turn 1. Now the Cabal Interrogator does take a little bit of mana to get going, and I'm gonna have my own Dark Ritual start. And what do I got? I also have a rack. Okay. And how about 2 Funeral Charms? 1 to kill the Interrogator and 1 to have you discard a card. Still 3 cards in hand, so not taking damage from the rack yet. However, Saul will be after he discards this 1 card. And he's gonna rightfully discard the Ensnaring Bridge. I think recognizing that I am also now playing, at the very least, a mono black discard deck. He hasn't seen green yet, obviously, but knowing that Ensnaring Bridge is probably not the best call in this. A hippie, though, is pretty good if you can stick it, but he is a little mana shy. It is risky. Do you pitch the unmask here? I'm
gonna pass.
Nope, he is just gonna pass. Okay. And this is, I think, where, yep, I saw myself grabbing the treetop village, and now he knows I'm in green. I can't do anything here, though. So it's all gonna take a point still off of my rack. I have not taken damage off of his yet, but if he draws a land here, he can stick the hippie, which could be a problem. Yes, okay, that is correct, because he took one off the fetch, one off rack last turn, and one off the rack this turn. That is a land, so we are going to be online for a hippie. Quicksand as well, which I can't remember if it does 2 or 3. I'd have to look at it again, but doesn't matter. There's a hippie. Say go. 1 card in hand for Saul. I think I might have an edict effect here. Or smother. Smother would work. I think that is a smother. Trying to decide, I guess, how much I want to play out my hand. This is kind of the weird thing in the mirror. Deciding how much you want to play out. Okay, we are going to smother the hippie. Take care of that threat. 2 in hand. So I will take 2 off of the rack. Dropping down to 14. And now that is a second unmask. So at this point, do you pitch the unmask to the unmask, opening yourself up to a lot of damage just to see what I have in hand? Because we are racing right now, and unfortunately, Saul is losing the race. Okay, we're just going to untap. I will take a point. And I think I just drew a Dark Ritual, which is not helpful. But we can just pass and have Saul take 1, I guess. Is that what's going to happen? No, playing out a land. Okay. Maybe not. Oh no, it's a bottomless pit. Oh, alright. Yeah, we're racing. But interestingly, not playing out a land. Do I just have 2 lands in hand and don't care? Alright, and this is where sequencing is a little weird. Since both the rack and the pit are my triggers, I get to choose how they resolve. And of course, you want the discard to happen first before the rack hits. So Saul will take 2.
So the funny thing with this is it goes to active player, non-active player. So this happens before I discard.
Ooh, and Saul's got a blackmail here. I do actually really like this card. It doesn't really see play in pit rack, but I feel like it is a little underutilized because it can hit lands.
The way they stack it gets funky.
I think we're talking about order of triggers here. Active player goes on the stack first, then non-active player. And this will be relevant during my turn as well. Oh, I think I was trying to decide if I wanted to play an Oath of Druids, maybe. It doesn't work because he doesn't have any creatures out. And he is just going to take that, and I will discard the Oath to the rack. Okay, so that's why I didn't play a land. I wanted to potentially... Okay, yes, so this is what I was referring to. Active player, non-active player. So non-active player, I take 2. Then my bottomless pit hits the field. That is a very good draw. Curse Scroll. That's going to be an extra 2 damage a turn. Very relevant in a situation where we are racing. And Saul drops down to 9. Just gonna play out a land for turn. Might as well. That rack or that pit is not gonna let him keep any cards in hand. Okay, I will take 3 from Saul's rack. And I think I just have to fire off the curse scroll. No, I'm gonna wait. That makes sense. Waiting until next turn. Okay, take 3 from the rack. Drop to 6. Functionally a 2-turn clock now. Unless he keeps something in hand. Which he will not, because can't really. Interesting. Okay, that makes sense. We're both so card light that me discarding another pit doesn't really do anything, but I can use it for 2 damage for Curse Scroll. And yep, that's going to be it. We're going to go to game number 2. Okay, so Saul correctly recognizing that the clock was a little too fast and unfortunately didn't have many outs here. We are now in Cyborg game 1. And I'm not exactly sure what gets brought in from his side, but I definitely am bringing in more artifact hate. The naturalizers are coming in. This would be a matchup for Call the Herds, but I think I felt comfortable enough not actually bringing them in and just keeping with the main game plan with just a little bit more artifact enchantment hate. As for what Saul would bring in, I think he'd probably just take out creature removal and just put in more discard. He did see an Oath, so he's not going to remove all of his creature hate, but I have to imagine a lot of it's gone. And it looks like he's got a... Does he? He has 1 swamp. Okay, we are both keeping here. And I'm gonna get unmasked. I definitely expected hand hate, obviously, so we'll see what I kept. It's all just deciding what black card he wants to exile here. Alright, looks like it's gonna be unmask to an unmask. And... Alright, that's an interesting hand. Oath of Druids could be good. He does have a hippie. I imagine he just hits my duress. Or is he hitting the ensnaring bridge? This is kind of the little bit of a weirdness with Saul's deck, is that he does have bridge, but he also has creatures to attack. So he's going to hit the Oath, so I don't think we're going to get to see a Guilt Feeder kill in this game. And it's going to just play out a rack. Alright. And I'm going to play open here because it is the polite and quick thing to do. Yes, I could make him write down all the cards. This is Premodern. We're having not necessarily a casual time, but a friendly game. So this is the... I forget the name of the card, but it has flashback. So it is a recursive discard effect, but it's the only thing I can hit. So we're going to hit it no matter what.
No, I think, sorry, I'm not actually thinking that. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to hit the hippie. With duress?
And I'm thinking that this is Thoughtseize, and this is round 5. We've been playing all day, so... in a modern sense of mind, I guess, but not quite. Okay, so... Land for turn, tapped. And I think just a pass here. Now, do I fire off the ensnaring bridge with the dark ritual just to make sure I get to play it? I think so. Having seen Saul's decks throughout the months, I know that he does have creature threats. He did play a hippie last time, which I killed, and we know he has one in hand. It looks like he is going to get cast this turn. So that hippie may be able to get in at least once, unless I can play out 3 cards next turn. But then I open myself up to the rack, which is why the hippie's in there. Obviously, you want to deprive your opponent of resources. Okay. Do we play out the swamp here? Just so I can pick up my cards. Oh, did I draw another? Did I? Yeah, I did. I drew... No, I drew a Guy's Blessing. Okay. I am shuffling back all 3 cards and drawing a card. I thought for a second we were getting a Oath, which would be sweet. I would be potentially swinging it for 3 damage every turn through the Ensnaring Bridge, because again, it's a 0 power creature. I mean, I still have 3 cards in hand, but assuming all my cards were gone. And I believe I revealed another Guy's Blessing, at least to us. Sol didn't see it. I think I just wanted to play the signed copy. Draw off a Guy's Blessing. Play out the swamp. And what are we doing here? Just playing out a Curse Scroll. Okay. That can deal with the hippie next turn. He will still get to swing in for 1. Which he will do. Or for 2, I guess, and take 1 card. And there's another Guy's Blessing. That's the only other one in the deck, so no Oath recycling for me, unfortunately. That was an interesting hand I kept. I don't think I kept both Guy's Blessings in the starting hand. I must have drawn the second one pretty soon afterwards. And then, yeah, just going to blackmail me here. And Treetop Village. Oof. Yep. I mean, Treetop Village is not getting through the Ensnaring Bridge, so makes sense. All right, take 3 off of the rack. And pain 2. No? Okay, just gonna pass. I must have had some sort of creature removal, potentially. Tapping 4 for a hard cast unmask. Is this a... It is. Alright, we're gonna Diabolic Edict here. Kill the hippie. Take 3. Drop to 11. And there's a Naturalize for the rack. That's pretty huge. Like I said, I brought in the remaining 3 Naturalizes just because this does turn into a race of who has the most racks. And now we are fully in a top deck war, but I do have a Curse Scroll. So I can now start braining Sol for 2 every turn. Alright, that is a blackmail. In response, I'm gonna scroll you for 2 and then lose the Funeral Charm. Ooh, and that is my own rack. Alright, that is pretty good. Take 3. We're getting back into this a little bit, folks. The rack wars have started. Sol drawing his own Funeral Charm, which is not particularly great here. I actually wonder, is the 3-drop Cabal Interrogator, is that a Cleric? Can he actually get that back with the Charm? Oh, okay, so he's going to try and charm me, but in response I can use it to deal 2. Alright, pass you, take 3. And I have now pulled ahead, barely, as a Dark Ritual for Sol, which is not doing much right here. And we have definitely turned a corner. That Naturalize just being huge, I would have been dead by this point if I didn't draw it. Another Funeral Charm. Funeral Charm you. Alright, he's gonna Dark Ritual, just because. Or is he gonna use his Tectonic? Oh, he's gonna deal damage to me. Okay, that's fine. Way to utilize the mana, at least, because he is flooding a little bit. There's another land. It's not great. He is at 6. I can deal 5 this turn.
I'll pass to you.
Pass to you. Take 3.
Come on,
That's another Dark Ritual.
please.
I think this is it.
Reveal us.
Alright, I'm gonna hit you for 2, and then on my upkeep I can just hit you for another 2. And that is game. Taking it down in 2. Okay, those were some good games. It did come down to who got to keep a rack on board longest, which I think definitely does favor the deck that has artifact interaction. I want to give a huge shout out to Saul. That was some great games. We are actually going to see him on camera again. Believe it or not, he did still make the top 4 cut. Even with this loss, that's just how well he was playing. I was playing off camera, so you're not going to see my deck again, unfortunately, but definitely check out the link in the description if you want to see the deck list. I have modified it a little bit since originally playing this list, but it's there if you guys want to see it. If you want to support the channel, make sure to like, comment, all that good stuff. It really does help. And if you want to support the channel even more, there is a Patreon link in the video description. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you next time.